In our previous explorations of reality, we discovered something shocking. Your brain is a master artist sitting in total darkness, translating raw quantum data into a customized user interface. We learned that our biological hardware and quantum mechanics keep our realities safely locked together. But there is a massive piece of the puzzle we haven't touched yet. A layer of simulation that doesn't come from your DNA and doesn't come from your visual cortex. It is a layer of reality that is programmed into your head after you are born. Think about it. When you look at a currency note, a piece of paper, your brain doesn't just see green ink and wood pulp. It sees value. It sees power, security, food, and freedom. When you look at a borderline on a map, your mind perceives a solid, physical wall separating two entirely different worlds. Even though from space, the Earth is a continuous, undivided canvas of soil and water. Where do these layers of reality come from? The answer is the cognitive software. We use language, social constructs, ideologies, and historical myths to constantly edit, reprogram, and reboot the simulation running inside our skulls. Today on Mindful Facts, we are going to look at the invisible architecture of your thoughts. We will reveal how words, culture, and social conditioning literally rewrite your neurological circuitry, forcing you to see the exact same illusion as everyone else around you. For centuries, humans believed that language was simply a tool used to describe a reality that already existed. You see a blue sky, and you use the word blue to tell someone else about it. Simple, right? But in the mid-20th century, linguists and cognitive scientists uncovered a radical truth known as the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, or linguistic relativity. This theory states that the structure of a language doesn't just describe your reality, it actively determines your reality. Let's look at a historical anomaly. In ancient Japanese, the word ao was used to describe both the color blue and the color green. A lush forest was ao, and the deep ocean was ao. Because their language didn't draw hard boundaries between these two frequencies, their brains categorized them as variations of the same fundamental essence. Even today, in modern Japan, despite having the word Midori for green, the go signal on a traffic light is still referred to as ao, blue, even though to a Western tourist, it looks undeniably green. It gets even crazier. Consider the Himbi tribe of Namibia. Their language has no separate word for blue, and they cannot distinguish a blue square from a green square when placed side by side. Their brains literally filter out the distinction because their cognitive software has no folder for it. However, they have dozens of different words for varying shades of green, shades that look absolutely identical to a Western eye. When tested, a Himba tribesman can spot a slightly mutated green square among a dozen identical ones in less than a second, a task that takes a modern computer or an English speaker minutes of intense examination. This means you do not see with your eyes, you see with your vocabulary. If your language doesn't have a word for a specific concept, emotion, or color, your brain's rendering engine simply glides right over it, hiding it from your conscious mind. We see the same world because we have been trained to use the same linguistic operating system. In his groundbreaking book, Sapiens, historian Yuval Noah Harari pointed out that the true secret to human dominance on this planet is our unique ability to create and believe in intersubjective realities. There are three types of realities in our universe. Objective reality. This is reality that exists whether you believe in it or not. Gravity, radioactivity, and a solid brick wall are objective. If you stop believing in gravity, you will still crash to the ground if you jump out a window. Subjective reality. This is reality that exists only inside your individual mind. Your personal fear of spiders, your love for a specific flavor of ice cream, or a personal memory. If you change your mind, this reality vanishes. Intersubjective reality. This is the magic zone. This is a reality that exists inside the collective imagination of millions of people. It is an illusion, but because everyone agrees to believe in it, it takes on the power of a solid, physical truth. Take a corporation like Google or Nike. Where does Nike exist? It isn't the factories. Those could burn down, and Nike would still exist. It isn't the shoes. Those are just rubber and leather. It isn't the CEO. They could be replaced tomorrow. Nike exists entirely as a shared myth inside our collective minds. It is a legal fiction that we all agree to treat as a real person with rights, bank accounts, and liabilities. Money is the ultimate intersubjective shared hallucination. A $100 bill has no intrinsic value. You cannot eat it. You cannot build a shelter out of it, and it won't keep you warm at night. But because 8 billion brains have undergone a massive cognitive sync, we all look at that piece of paper and hallucinate the exact same level of wealth and power. The moment a society loses faith in that myth, as happened during hyperinflation crises throughout history, the illusion breaks instantly. The paper turns back into useless paper. We see the same world because we are all playing the same massive, imaginative game, governed by rules we created ourselves. Once our brains are loaded with language and social constructs, they develop a secondary layer of filtering known as ideological anchoring. Your mind is naturally terrified of chaos and uncertainty. To protect itself, it adopts a structured worldview, a political ideology, a religion, a philosophical framework, or a cultural narrative. Once an ideology takes root inside your neural network, it acts exactly like a color filter on a camera lens. Psychologists call this confirmation bias. But on a neurological level, it goes much deeper than just choosing what to believe. It actually alters what you perceive. In fascinating neurological experiments, researchers placed political partisans inside brain scanners and showed them footage of a controversial protest. Even though their eyes were tracking the exact same pixels on the screen, their brains processed the data with radical differences. Group A's brain registered the police officers as protectors and the protesters as violent instigators. Group B's brain looked at the exact same footage and registered the protesters as victims and the police as brutal oppressors. Their ideologies didn't just change their opinions, it literally changed their visual interpretations of physical actions. Their brains amplified certain details while completely deleting others from their conscious awareness to protect their pre-existing worldviews. This is the dark side of our shared illusion. While biology and language bring us together, ideologies can segment us into subnetworks. We look at the exact same physical event, yet we inhabit completely different psychological worlds, driven by the code running inside our political and cultural echo chambers. What happens when reality refuses to match our software? What happens when a fact enters your field of vision that contradicts your deeply held intersubjective myths or ideological frameworks? Your brain experiences a violent, painful psychological shock known as cognitive dissonance. On an fMRI scan, when a person is confronted with facts that break their core beliefs, the brain registers this data using the exact same neural pathways that process physical pain. Your brain reacts to an uncomfortable truth the same way it reacts to a burning hot stove or a physical slap across the face. To protect itself from this pain, the mind activates a series of automated cognitive safety protocols. It will rationalize, make excuses, attack the source of the information, or invent an alternative narrative, all just to keep its internal simulation from crashing. This is why it is almost impossible to change someone's mind with pure facts or logical arguments. Their brain perceives the counter-argument as a literal threat to its survival. It would rather double down on a comfortable shared illusion than face the cold, terrifying disorientation of an unscripted reality. We see the same world because our brains are cowards. They prefer the safety of the collective status quo over the radical freedom of objective truth. If our reality is wrapped in biological firmware, linguistic software, and ideological filters, is it possible to break the code? Can we ever see the universe as it truly is, raw and unedited? This is the ultimate goal of ancient mindfulness practices, deep meditation, and philosophical skepticism. When a Zen master spends years meditating in absolute silence, they are essentially doing a manual software uninstall. By quietening the mind, they are slowing down the predictive processing engine. They are training their brain to stop instantly slapping labels, words, and concepts onto everything it sees. When you look at a tree without the word tree in your head, the icon vanishes. You are no longer looking at a simplified desktop shortcut. Instead, you are confronted with a raw, overwhelming, breathing explosion of life, texture, and energy. You are peering directly through a crack in the matrix. This is what philosophers call the awakening. It is the moment you realize that the world you have lived in your entire life isn't a physical prison. It is a mental museum. You are the one who chose the exhibits. You are the one who wrote the descriptions, and you are the one holding the keys. The realization that our world is a shared cognitive construct shouldn't make you feel powerless. In fact, it is the ultimate empowerment. It means that if you change the software running inside your head, you literally change the universe you live in. When you learn a new language, you open up new folders of color and emotion. When you step outside your cultural bubble, you rewrite your predictive parameters. When you abandon rigid ideologies in favor of curiosity and empathy, you upgrade your interface from a low-resolution map into a rich, infinite reality. We are all sharing this dream together. The firmware is biological, but the software is up to you. Choose what you load into your mind with absolute care. Thank you for watching this masterclass on reality by Mindful Facts. If this video challenged your thoughts and inspired you to upgrade your cognitive software, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What is one belief you held for years that you realized was just a shared illusion?